And a positive reaction on the street, coming 2% in the green. PNB, BOB and NTPC are among your top losers. We've got Mr. Sreesankar with us to give us a sense of what's going on. A very firm rally on the street today. Is it a trend you think that will continue?
I think if you look at these things, it's very difficult to say on a daily basis what will happen tomorrow kind of scenario. But what is interesting is, yes, we have seen the market probably 10 days back heading downwards. From there, it has been a recovery of all sorts. Global markets have recovered. Following the global cues, you have seen the domestic market also recovering. The big positive for me is the way the government has come back and started initiating new processes for the coal block allocations, coal block auctions and everything. So I think we are beginning to see a lot more action from the government side, which should, in my view, kickstart the domestic economy at much faster pace. In fact, that has been a bit slow, and that's where going to be the focus of every investor. How quick the domestic turnaround story will start affecting the economic growth.
Okay, when we talk about the domestic turnaround story today, we had one of our independent market experts saying that India now seems to be decoupling when we talk about the external factors. Would you agree with that view, the fact that the Indian equity markets isn't quite mirroring the global trend and the domestic factors remain way too strong, whether we talk about political stability or we talk about the fall in crude oil prices? That's going to have a much larger impact pushing forward this rally vis-a-vis the kind of global worries that we continue to see. And of course, globally, we are not seeing as much of a worry as we did perhaps a few days ago.
Okay, let me put the things straight. Number one, I do not believe that Indian markets or Indian economy is anyway decoupled from what's happening globally. So you will invariably see that Indian markets are coupled with what's happening around the globe. The only difference when we compare the different markets, the different emerging markets, if I may say so, the level of coupling or the level of relationship with the global market, involvement with the global market, that may vary. Now, for a market like China, probably it would be very high. For a market like India, it's not that high. That if global slowdown happens, we are relatively better off because your domestic economic growth is much more faster. And that's the reason why I think we are relatively, again I'm saying relative,
right,
but definitely not decoupled.
Okay, not decoupled. That's a very strong view from Mr. Sreesankar. We've just got about 35 seconds to go as the markets close the session today. Sesa Sterlite gaining 2% there. Tata Steel showing very impressive gains, 4.7%. BHEL in the red. Tata Power also in the green right now. NTPC down about 1.3%. ITC 1% gains. Tata Motors 3.4% gains. ONGC gaining but not as much. Reliance showing about 2% gains. IDFC among the losers today. Cipla showing about 2% gains. Sun Pharma down 1%. Bharti Airtel down about 0.5%. HDFC almost flat there. HDFC Bank 0.3% in the red. Axis Bank among the banking stock gainers today, gaining about 0.5%. The closing bell there ringing for you. Coal India showing about 0.5% gains. ICICI Bank also in the green. Ken India showing some good gains today, 2.63%. SBI among the banking losers. Wipro gaining about 0.6%. BPCL gaining about 0.4%. Pankaj Poddar takes us through some of the other smaller stocks.
Well, if I look at some of the counters that were buzzing today, it was all about gainers as far as the mid-cap side is concerned. You pointed out about the large cap, but just want to highlight one sector. So metals as a pack did very, very well. So Hindalco, Tata Steel, JSPL, all of them were on your list, and all of them you can see on your screen were buzzing today. DLF did particularly well today, bounced back from the second half, but ended also quite strong. NCC, Pennar Industry were doing quite well. Pennar was up about 10%. It has been a big performer and has been doing quite well. SRF up 20%, declared numbers yesterday. A strong operational beat, 20% higher. Just Dial, you heard the management here at NDTV, 7.5% higher. Tourism Finance doing quite well. BF Utilities, SREI Infra up about 7% for BF Utilities. SREI Infrastructure up about 3.7 to about 3.8 odd percent. BGR Energy, Max India, Shobha Developers, AIA Engineering, all of them doing quite well. All of them up in tune of about 5 odd percent. India Bull Real Estate up 2%. Arvind Limited up about 3%. Dish TV up close to about 2 odd percent. Havells, after the results, first time given a breakout, 5% higher, 280 odd for Havells India. Piramal Enterprise 4.4% higher. REC up about 1.1 odd percent. Mindtree doing quite well for itself, up 4%. Apollo Hospitals up about 2%. United Phosphorus Limited slowly and steadily gone close past about 340. Welspun India 6%. Allen FS Engineering on your screen. Sonata Software 5%. Marico up 5%. Thomas Cook up close to 5%. Uttam Galva 4%. Adani Port 4%. Sadbhav Engineering about 3.5-4 odd percent. So even if the larger markets have not done that well, but among the CNX 500, among the CNX mid cap, a whole host of counters did continue to gain. We just heard most of them. All of them have done quite well today with good volumes.
All right, Pankaj, thanks for that. We're going to focus on one particular counter, Dr. Reddy's. In fact, the management is talking to the media right now. We will bring you that press conference in just a moment. But let me go back to Mr. Sreesankar to again take forward our discussion. Today, of course, the government submitted its list of 627 persons in the black money case. Were the markets tracking that development at all? Are today's gains anything to do with the fact that the top court decided not to reveal the names?
Yeah, what can I comment on it?
Sorry, I missed that. No, I'm just saying are the equity markets tracking that development at all? Had the names been revealed, which of course would have been a big shocker, would it have had any negative impact on the markets? Given that, you could have seen several industrial houses being named.
Very difficult to say. Very difficult to say, in fact, what is in it, and etc. So I would rather wait and watch for all those things rather than speculate on those kind of news.
Okay, Mr. Sreesankar, your top picks before we end the discussion.
So we still continue to like HDFC Bank, Axis Bank, then the mid caps we like Britannia, we like even Larsen & Toubro in infrastructure. Again, some of the domestic stories, mainly it's domestic stories, and which we'll still continue to like.
Okay, Mr. Sreesankar, always a pleasure to have you on the show. Many thanks for joining us. We will now cut across to the press conference of Dr. Reddy's Labs. Let's listen in.
700.